What's up, my friends? Welcome back to another director's commentary on One with Wolfpack Football. We're still in season 1, now on to episode 3, which is entitled Focus. So, I hope you enjoy. Lens flare. I love lens flare. I don't know, maybe it's the J.J. Abrams fan in me. I really love watching a field get painted. I don't know what it is, but it's just like, it's outside and it's artistic, and just getting shots of change is just really cool to witness and capture. So the grounds crew at NC State is one of the best. Not saying that just because I I worked around them, but no, they're a really good crew. I mean, it's a school that has a turf maintenance concentration, so you got to take pride in the grass, man. So the title of this episode is Focus, and so I thought it was pertinent to just get really focused, pretty B-roll shots to start off this entire episode. So, slow motion and close-up shots of practice, hands and feet in the turf, sweat, hair flowing for the players that have long hair, and obviously the turf itself. They ride around these carts that have basically just paint hooked up to these like sprinkler systems, and they just do the lines, and then all the stuff in the end zones is painted by hand with spray guns. So it's really cool just to witness. So I felt that was appropriate to start off a very focused episode, because of the title of the episode, with those kinds of shots. So yeah, that'll probably be, I don't want to say it's the last of the turf you'll see for the season, but I make it a point to really, once a season, just spend the entire morning filming a field get painted, or entire 2 mornings, I should say. It takes them 2 days to do the whole thing. So yeah, let's get started. Focus, as I said. Start off our day. More paint. Look, yay. And a little text slate to give us some context. So this is the first home game of the 2017 season against Marshall. Yeah, just back into the groove. By the third week, I'm pretty much in a groove when it comes to making these episodes. There's a press conference every Monday. I conduct interviews Monday through Wednesday. I'm filming practice Tuesday and Wednesday. Thursday's a lot of editing, Friday's finalizing, game day on Saturday, putting it all together on Sunday. Usually ended up being about a 65-hour week per episode, 7 days a week. So this room that the press conference is being filmed in doesn't exist anymore. They renovated that football center a number of years ago, and that room is no longer there. Now press conferences are conducted in the they call the Vaughn Towers. It's like a media center in the stadium itself.
We're 16-6 in the last 4 years in one game when we win the turnover margin. 16-6. We're 10-3.
There are really moments when I wish I had the resources to just mic up like every coach, every practice. But that's just, from a resource and time standpoint, unreasonable. I want to say, oh, that's what it is. Yeah. So Ryan Findley's mic'd up during this. He's a starting quarterback. He's down there in the green jersey, not in the very right area. He's number 15. So he was wearing a mic, and so I was able to pick up Coach Doran in the huddle with that mic as well. So that's really nice. Ryan was an interesting character. Wicked smart dude. Was not a big fan of getting mic'd up. But after this episode came out, he saw it and he was like, "Oh, I get it. That was really cool." And I was like, "Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate that." So for people who are reluctant to not necessarily limelight, but just like kind of have focus on them, a lot of the times it has to do with they don't want focus on them. They want focus on the team. Like they're more focused with the team. But once they see the final result, they still think that, but they also see the value in showcasing individual people. It doesn't matter if it's them specifically or other teammates. It's important to kind of showcase everybody on this team as individuals. And I wish we had time to give justice to every single person on the team, but only got so many episodes.
With a 1-0 mentality. Playing quarterback, there's a lot of things to think about. There's a for each week, there's a certain amount of things that you really want to dial in.
Sometimes it's tough to get these guys after practice to do an interview because they got a lot going on. They might have to get some rehab. They definitely have to eat after spending 2.5 hours out in the blazing September sun. Got a lot to go through. So a lot of times I would just go up to them directly after practice and just kind of talk to them and be like, hey, really appreciate some of your time. I'm willing to be flexible around your schedule. Just give me a time that you'll be ready and I will be there. And usually they're very accommodating. They're like, yeah, I'll probably be done in an hour. I'm like, perfect. So I tell them to meet me in this X named room or whatever in an hour, and it works out really well. After a while, it gets easier to have a relationship with these guys, a one-on-one relationship. There's Bradley Chubb. His jersey is honored in Carter Finley Stadium. I think I mentioned earlier, he plays for the Dolphins. So this is Coach Kevin Patrick, who I believe is currently at University of South Florida, defensive line coach. He was a lot of fun to work with. Kind of like Ryan Finley in the sense that they're very hesitant to have the light shown on them. But once they see the final product, they understand what this show is trying to do, and they appreciate it a little bit more, and allows me to have a little bit of a rapport with each of the coaches. Never really had a coach throughout the 3 years of making the show, both for football and basketball, that did not wanted to avoid me. All of them are very welcoming with what I was doing and appreciative. So that was cool. I wish I could whistle like that. It's impressive. I wish I could do that.
I mean, when you're playing on the defensive side of the ball, especially on that defensive front, you've got to have blinders on. You can't be distracted with movements here, movements there. We talk about see a little, see a lot.
A lot of these coaches, you'd be surprised, you have them mic'd up during a practice, and they're loud, they're energetic, they are intense, and then you get them in an interview setting, and it's mellow. And a lot of times you can hear in their voice they've been yelling all morning. So they're happy just to have a normal conversation.
It's been a big part of what we always done, whether I've been a player, as a coach.
So fun fact about Kevin Patrick. Oh, there he is as a player in Miami. And speaking of Miami, one of his teammates and his college roommate was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And that is one of the more fun facts I've learned from working on this show, is that this guy roomed with Dwayne Johnson at the University of Miami, and they both played football together. And Dwayne Johnson's nickname in college was Dewey. That's fun to learn. The way a lot of these coaches talk to the players is just written. I haven't personally witnessed any coach I've filmed talk to a player in a super demeaning way. Obviously, they have to be tough, but just based on me being around practice, I've never heard anything where I've gone, "Ooh, man, I don't know how I would handle that if someone said that to me." Not to say it doesn't happen with any coach, but it was just refreshing to be around a program where everything that I was hearing was encouraging, was positive. Doesn't happen all the time. I mean, they could have been putting on a show for me. I don't know. Just my personal experience.
That's my song. That's my song. I want to dive off the stage. Hey, game reps. Make sure you get all that, right? How's your sister? She is better every day? I want them to, at the end of the day, know that, you know, that I care.
A lot of joking on. I like getting those interactions just because it's not football. it's human stuff.
At some point in life, just like I've done as a player to become a man and a coach, I look back and
So you notice in some of these shots, I think definitely it's more noticeable here. A lot of the coaches have stuff in the background of their shots, and I film all of these in their offices. So behind them is just a whiteboard where they write stuff, whether it's notes to themselves or play ideas or just reminders. And I walk in, a lot of them are like, they're just paranoid about what's back there. And it's understandable because some of it's sensitive information. So if they really want to get rid of it, they'll erase it. But I tell them, look, it's out of focus. You can't really tell. And some of them don't even notice. But these guys are surrounded by football stuff. Oh, puppy. First home game of the season. Got some great tailgating shots, Mr. and Miss Wolf. I love filming tailgating just because if you get real close to some folks, they'll feed you. And they'll even offer you something to drink. But personally, I'm working and I don't want to I don't want to do anything that can get me in trouble
I really enjoy
on a professional level.
I think we thrive off it as a team.
I think when you're playing at home, there's always a little bit more excitement for anyone. We'll focus on this next game. Home or away, we're ready to roll.
At this point, too, we're still figuring out our camera setups. So you'll notice a lot of footage within the game looks different from camera to camera. And that's just us as a team. It's me figuring out what is the best balance, and then collectively as a production team, what cameras are the right cameras to use, and what cameras are these operators familiar enough with to execute properly. It doesn't matter how many times when that firework goes off, that bang, that it just makes me jump every time. I know it's coming. Happens every time though. It's J-Mac, the producer, with the soundtrack for this game. You'll hear that tag fourth quarter time in all of his tracks. Kind of heard it in the music bed there. I don't remember how this game goes. Oh, but there's Ryan. It's Finley. Going on a long run. That's Naheem Hines. Like I said, a lot of these guys are in the pros now. It's kind of cool to take a look. There are moments when making these game edits where things get stale. And most of the time, it's when NC State is blowing the opponent out, like just putting numbers on them. Because it gets kind of boring watching highlight after highlight. There's no tension, there's no contrast. Not saying that I want every game to be a nail biter, but inherently those are the most entertaining games, the back and forth stuff. Now, if there's an instance where NC State does not play well at all and the opponent puts numbers on them, that's almost an easier edit to make because I put very little of it in the show because it's not interesting. And also, the primary audience of the show is NC State fans, and they don't want to see their own team. They don't want to relive a bad loss by their own team. So, yeah, it looks like this game's kind of close to start off anyway. Ooh, trucked him on that one. There's another NFL pro, Jacoby Myers.
It is a touchdown for State.
Pretty sure we won this game. We'll find out at the end of it. So sometimes it's a little tricky. I don't know if you're noticing the color differences in some of these cameras, but a lot of it has to do with what's called white balance. And it's basically how a camera perceives temperature of light. And one of the biggest difficulties is that when we have a 3:30 kickoff, because half of the game is in sunlight. Actually, I would say a third of the game is in sunlight, a third of the game is in shade, and then a third of the game is at night. And all of them have a different color temperature when it comes to the color of light showcasing the field, because it's sunlight, it's shade, and it's also these, at the time, not very good stadium lights. NC State recently renovated, and they have really great lights now.
Are you focused? Yes, sir. Now listen, you know what they're doing. You know how they're blocking you.
Let me tell you what, halftime in the locker room is very moist. It's just a bunch of sweaty people in the locker room.
More than one. All right, we need
In a very condensed area.
It is high, and Hines will take it. They're at the right sideline at the 2-yard line. He's up across the 10, 15, breaks the tackle at the 20.
Oh, is he going to go all the way? Oh, man, that would have been great. He was known for that. Naeem Hines had a fair number of kickoff returns for touchdowns.
Takes the snap, looks left, keeps looking left, fires toward the left sideline, and Samuels makes the catch. He
What
jumps
a
3
catch.
came down with the ball in the seat of his pants. Unbelievable.
I don't know who was filming that. Was that me? I can't even remember.
Trying to get away from 3 defenders, and he's
As we started, filming more and more of these games, I relegated myself to the position of my camera, my position is in the bench area. I want to get huddles. I want to get coaches and players talking. I want to get celebrations. I want to get in-depth talks. So yeah, right there, that was probably me. I don't know. It's been so long.
throwing left side, caught by Riley, slips the tackle, 40-yard line up the left side, 50, 40, 30-yard line, still moving and dragged down from behind. Here they come. Clinton is flush. He
So,
can be sacked back at the 20-yard
like I mentioned last episode, to make things interesting, when you are at the whim of reality, I should say, when you are not in control of how things go, but then you have to convey how things happened, you got to pay attention to, or personally, I pay attention to, what can I do to make things interesting. So the first half of this game is relatively close, and we edit it that way. We show a highlight from NC State. We show a highlight from Marshall, going back and forth. Maybe the music is something that has a little bit of tension in it as well. And then in the second half, all NC State all the time. And fans love it because they want to see their they want to see their team succeed. So let's keep the music upbeat. Let's keep it fun. Let's keep it fast, but let's keep it short because we know how the game ends. And we just don't want too much of a good thing, as they say. So this chant right here is The Law of the Jungle, is a poem, The Law of the Jungle by Rudyard Kipling. And it ends with, the strength of the wolf is the pack. And our tight ends coach and special teams coordinator at the time, Eddie Faulkner, him and his group came up with the idea to take that entire poem and turn it into just kind of this hype chant. And now, after every win, they do it in the locker room. That's been going on, since 2017.
Things we got to improve on. But you found a way to win. Never flinch. Understand this. The thing I'm proud of is just the way you responded, man.
If you ever see me, I'm running this camera right here. If you ever see me zoom all the way in for kind of like a weird reason, it's because I'm trying to make sure my focus is correct. That's the easiest way to achieve focus when you're running in a camera, is to zoom all the way into your subject, manually focus your lens to make sure it's crisp, and then zoom back out, and then everything supposedly will be in focus. Crisp and sharp. So it looks like for this final segment,
I'd like to start out just thanking our fans.
still me getting my sea legs when it comes to cutting together a show like this, figuring out how much I do need to film, how many questions do I need to ask in an interview. So it seemed like, if I recall correctly, I kind of went through everything. And one of the things that I never really thought to include, because it's something that's not exclusive, it's readily available, is these post-game press conferences. And that's important to like showcase all aspects of, or all points of view of a team, of a coaching staff.
But in order to do that,
So to throw that bit in there with some fan footage, I really wanted to take this back end of the episode to show appreciation for the people that come out to these games. Because people that fill the stands have an impact on how a game goes. Correct, they're not on the field playing. They're not making decisions, but it's a lot of energy. Like if you're surrounding yourself with, positive energy, good things can happen.
the product we put on the field is for us and for each other, and my performance.
Another music bed under here. I loved using post rock as a soundtrack to this show, mainly inspired by Friday Night Lights and Explosions in the Sky. And letting moments like this breathe too, where there's not a whole lot of talking, there's just music playing and you're just showing moments. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in slow motion. Like you can grasp emotion, not necessarily from slow motion footage. It can be real time stuff. You can see emotion. This whole idea of making things epic. You don't have to. And also epic can be defined in a bunch of different ways. It can be sweeping and slow and grand, or it can be good or contrasting things that go together well, like a slow moving score with real time moments of emotion, like this flag waving and Coach Patrick talking to his players in halftime.
That venture, that travel to the unknowns, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You don't know what the next team is going to have in store for you. And it keeps you on your toes. It keeps me alive. I love it.
This whole segment ended up being, I guess, about love for football, love for the game, love for fans. I'll end up doing that a lot because it's important. And, with every year, players leave, coaches leave, and then new players and new coaches come in. And so you want to showcase how much it means to everyone that walks through the doors of the football center and walks through the doors of the stadium. So yeah, I can definitely tell looking back at this that I ran out of footage. And so I was like, you know what? Let's just go for some feels. Let's go with some sweet music. Let's go with some highlights and emotion. And that's that. Thank y'all so much for watching today. If you have any comments about any of the stuff you saw or any questions or concerns or whatever, go ahead and drop them in the comment section below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If you like what you saw today and you maybe want to see some more, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. You'll be updated on everything that I drop. And also if you want to help further support some of the stuff that I'm making, including this, including the Film Nuts podcast, including a bunch of other storytelling stuff, go ahead and check out the Patreon link in the description below. That's pretty much it. Thanks again so much for watching and I'll see y'all next time.